Welcome to the First and Inches podcast, where every play counts and every take hits hard. Right. David is repping the dynasty that is the Kansas City Chiefs. George bleeds black and gold for Steeler Nation, and AP is still waiting on the Vikings to show up in February. We're breaking down the biggest stories in football, baseball, and anything in between. We're calling it like we see it, and no fan base is safe. Touchdown! This is the First and Inches podcast.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Hello and welcome back to First and Inches podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jorge.
I am David here in Oklahoma City, getting ready to watch the Thunder win the NBA championship.
All right. And I'm AP here in Southwest Missouri.
I'm in Tampa today. I was in Dallas this week watching some teams lose. Well, mainly the Dallas Stars getting eliminated, bounced out of the NHL playoffs, and watching the Texas Rangers get one hit. I don't know if any of you watched that game on Thursday or Wednesday night. Leadoff batter for the Rangers hit a base hit, and nobody else got a hit after that. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
There's a combined one hitter, 5 pitchers. It was bullpen day of all things. So, you know, Blue Jays don't have the strongest bullpen, but somehow they pulled out a one hitter. So that was pretty cool. Well, man, a lot has happened this week. I know that you're excited about the Thunder, David, since your Lakers have been out of the playoffs for a little while.
Typical.
But the Thunder, Charles Barkley called it the OKC Thunder Invitational. He thinks that nobody can beat the Thunder. So what do you think we have to look forward to in the next few weeks from the NBA?
So I think it's tonight's game is a really big game with the Pacers and Knicks. I think that series is not over, but it really, you know, with the injuries that the Knicks have had, they're still winning the last game. It's made it really interesting. But I really am looking forward to the Hicks versus the Knicks series, if that could happen.
I think that last game, what the Knicks did, I think that's going to be a momentum carrier. I think it's going to take them to Game 7 where they're going to beat the Pacers. I think what I saw in that game, just how they dominated all game. I think this is. I don't think there's any turning back. I think they've hit it, and they're going to go all the way to face OKC.
But Indiana, I mean, they play well at home. So, you know, obviously New York couldn't win there when they were there last 2 times. But is it going to be one of those games where somebody's going to go up by 20 again and then somebody's going to come back? I don't know if the Knicks have that in them very much longer.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because it seems like the Knicks have been down almost every game like that. And how long can you do that? I
know. It's
one of the things.
Well, momentum is everything, and I think what I saw. Now, granted, I'm not a basketball expert, but what I saw is I don't think that aside, they just played much more fluid, much more freely, and I don't think Indiana responded well when they were down as much as they were. Now, I mean, they did make the game look a little bit better by the time at the end of the game, it was a lot closer. Yeah. But I think that score's misleading to how the game went.
So I'm really old, and I remember whenever you had a 15-point lead, the game was over.
Right.
And it's really changed over the years. But like the Thunder, one of the things they talked about is that they don't play to the score. They play like they're even the whole time. And I feel like they've blown out a lot of people this year because the way they just focus on the play at hand, not thinking, hey, we're up 20, let's have fun.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I think SGA's MVP or numbers, considering he led the league in points, is particularly important because the Thunder blew out a bunch of people this year. And so there were a lot of fourth quarters where SGA was not playing. And you're seeing this in the playoffs now. This is like, I don't know, the 6th or 7th time they just blown somebody out of the arena. They were up by almost 40 at one point. I mean, that's kind of unheard of. But yeah, like you said, even a 20-point lead is not safe anymore with as fast as these guys play and shoot. They no longer take their little time running their offense. Now they're just run and shoot up that three, and before you know it, they got 10 points on the board in less than a minute, 2 minutes. So,
well, they play like it's like they play like NBA 2K is what they play like video games. I mean, they push it down the field. The point guard he's not running he's running the offense, but he's running it just half court. They kick it out to whomever, and let's face it, the old power forward centers, I mean, that isn't the same position as it used to be growing up, right? Those guys are letting it rain too. It's not posting up necessarily the kind of game that I've seen and what I remember. So to your point, yeah, it can come back really quickly.
Now, do any teams make a big splash this offseason to try and get back in this for next year?
What do you think? Like maybe like build a dynasty type thing, like a Elite Three, like make some trades.
I mean, I don't know what moves can happen during off season, but what do the Lakers do? Are they going to keep everybody they had and think that Luka's going to be the answer? Are they going to try and figure something out? LeBron is getting old. Maybe Bronny becomes a superstar. Okay, never mind that. But that all the teams want to get there. OKC did it in a not so conventional way. They had developed all these players. SGA was a guy that was selected before, and like, he's not going to be a superstar, so let's trade him. And Presti took a chance on him. Here we are. He's a MVP caliber type player, and his surrounding cast is playing lights out. So I don't know if you can figure out like the Dodgers did. Let's put together this crazy good team, and we're just going to win, because we have a lot of teams with a lot of star power who are not in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
Knowing how OKC's built and how young they are, I think you either got one of two options on your team, right? Depending on like the Lakers, I think they've got to respond by getting someone big again to complement the help with LeBron and Luka. But I think anybody else, you've got to look to build from a build it up type deal, because I think with as young as OKC is, you're either got to do it right away or you're going to have to build it. But most teams don't have those guys, right? Like that they can build. They've got to build it up over time, right? Maybe take those guys and bring together a team, as opposed to having 3 or 4 different personalities that can help run it. But I think with LeBron at his age, Luka where he's at, I think if specifically to the Lakers, they've got to go get somebody big if they're going to compete with Oklahoma City.
Yeah. So I do agree that the Lakers are going to have to change it up, or they're not going to, they're going to set it up a little differently with more 3-and-D types next year with having Luka. But I'll tell you, one of the things I heard is that this Thunder team could possibly be the worst Thunder team we see for the next 3 or 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Because they've got their first-round pick from last year that hasn't played this year, and they still have all these picks. But if you could just transfer this team to New York or transfer this team to LA, they could keep this team together for a long, long time. But in Oklahoma City, I mean, a couple of those guys are on their 3rd year, are going to getting ready to get paid, so they're going to have to. They're not going to be able to go over the cap like a Celtics or a Lakers or a Knicks can afford to do. So, hey, going on to the worst nightmare for the NBA is these small market teams. Obviously, if the Knicks don't make it, the Pacers, the Thunder, 2 of the 5 smallest market teams. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think it helps the game, because you have the smaller markets believing, hey, we can compete, and maybe they'll gain some more traction. I don't know if they'll ever become a large market because of the dollars they have available to them, but ultimately it generates more enthusiasm and more followers for the NBA, so that helps.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to hit a broader base. It makes people feel relevant. It actually, when you think about how much it could spread, it could bring those bigger guys to these smaller markets too, right? Because you generate revenue, you can afford to bring these guys in, these bigger names. So maybe, again, I know Oklahoma City's had some big names there, but as the league kind of develops, especially with these younger guys coming in and really blowing up, I think when you see smaller market teams win, that's going to bring in this bigger talent. They can afford to bring bigger talent because obviously it increase revenue. So yeah, to Jorge's, it creates enthusiasm at the fan base. They come in and create higher spending, more spending.
Yeah, the TV networks are probably the only ones that don't like it.
Yeah, and honestly, when you think about the different ways you could stream and watch these games, I almost wonder how much of an impact that has over these big networks and the games that they watch. Like for baseball, for example, I know that's I don't want to get, because we'll touch on that a little bit later, but the MLB extra innings package compared to like local television contracts and stuff like that, because we've seen it blow up with, it was the regional sports network, Fox Sports Ohio. Then they got bought out, and then that caved, right? They went into bankruptcy. But I'm pulling us off topic.
We'll talk about that, but give me your predictions then.
Hold on. I need to cover this real quick. So,
Okay.
One thing I heard on another podcast was a guy was talking about small market. Indianapolis has 2 million people. Oklahoma City has 1.5 million. So it's not like we're going to have a bunch of Thunder Pacers fans throughout the country. But the point they made is all of these players are not from Oklahoma City. All these players are not from Indiana. These players are from Kentucky. They're from New York. They're from all over the country. And so whenever you're talking about the Thunder, it's not like they got a bunch of homegrown Oklahoma City boys, or Indianapolis the same way. So
there's a lot of Canadians following the Thunder because of this.
Oh yeah, SGA.
When I was in, I think it was in Denver, and I was there early for pregame shoot around and all that. And man, there's at least 40 people from Canada there. That's like, hey, I only know basketball because of SGA, and I'm only here to watch him.
Right.
Yeah. I was actually in the Denver airport whenever the Thunder clinched, and there was this little kid going crazy next to me, and I'm like, hey, maybe may want to quiet down. There's a bunch of Thunder fans, or a bunch of Nuggets fans in this bar.
So who wins the series right now going on? And then what is the final between the Thunder and that team? David.
All right. It's going to be the Pacers, and it's going to be the Thunder. And the Thunder win in 5.
Thunder in 5. Okay. How about you?
I'm going to say the Knicks, as I stated earlier. I think they take it these next two due to what they coming off of the game 5 high, and I think the Thunder in 6.
Okay, I think I'm going the exact same. I'm picking the Knicks because I'm a homer, but I do agree. I think the Knicks can get away with maybe 2 miraculous wins against the Thunder, and then 4-2 will be the end, and we're going to see a Thunder NBA title coming to Oklahoma City.
The key, obviously, is Jalen Brunson, right? But had if he can stay consistent, right, the entire game, because it seemed like he had a couple of different windows in which he was dominating, and then he dropped off, came back, right? If he can stay consistent throughout the entire game, I mean, I think it's an easy next 2 games for the Knicks. And then I honestly, I don't think anybody's going to compete with the Thunder, but I think they can make it a competitive series. So when I say 6 games, it could also be those 6 games are pretty lopsided, right? Those 4 games are pretty heavily for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Because you say 6-game series, a lot of people are like, well, that's semi-competitive. But we all have seen these play out where they're, it's just complete domination and then maybe a couple of competitive games.
Yeah, it wasn't 6 competitive games. It was 1.5 maybe.
Yeah, correct.
So real quick, we need to touch on Ernie Johnson and TNT
leaving
the NBA here quick.
Yeah.
Well, what? Why is he leaving? I don't understand that.
Well, they're just changing. Their NBA is going to ESPN.
Right.
So
I mean, so it's all about money, right?
right, yeah. But I think what they built up, because basketball does not have the footprint of football, right? We all know that, and it's also doesn't have, is not dynamic, but baseball has got, can really attach to a lot of different fans because of tradition. A lot of people, it's an easy game to watch. NBA is kind of specific to a certain audience, it's a very exciting game. But, what those guys did on the NBA pregame show and postgame show or whatever, I think it created an audience that people could all, that it brought everybody in. It made it fun. It made it relatable. And to have all those personalities work so well together in a platform like that, and for a show like that, day in and day out, well, week in and week out, right?
Couple times
it's going to be tough to. I think that did great for the NBA as a whole, right? I think that did a lot more than maybe what people are giving it credit for the game in terms of viewership. Because look, I mean, you had Shaq and Barkley. Think of those generational interests that you had, right? And then you had Ernie Johnson, who's like seemingly in every man's man. Plus, what he overcame, with cancer. I think all those different personalities and Kenny Smith really brought it together, and it made it a fun, enjoyable, show.
All right. We all agreed this was going to be about baseball and football, and here we've spent the first 15 minutes talking about the NBA. So
it's pretty relevant right now, to be fair.
No, I totally. I think we're going to talk about relevant stuff whenever we're during the season, regardless. All right, so let's talk about baseball. So I don't know if you guys had put your MLB predictions up yet, but
I got them.
I'm going to throw mine out there first because I think I'm going to make Adam cry. So
bullshit.
He's used to it.
So my National League, or no, let's go American League first. My American League, obviously, the Yankees are a step above everybody else in the East. The Twins going to come back and overtake the Tigers.
Oh,
Texas, the Rangers going to take the West. And the 3 wild card teams there are going to be Detroit, the Royals, and the Astros. I meant the Astros. You writing those down, Jorge? I'll send them to you.
Yeah, that'll work. We'll keep track.
In the East,
Hooks, give me that. Sorry, who did you say for the wild card?
Detroit, Royals, and the Astros. All right, so in the National League, I'm going to go the Mets. They're clearly the tops over there. The Cubs, the Dodgers in the West. And my 3 wild card teams are the Phils, San Diego.
Don't do it.
And the Reds. The Reds at 29-29 are going to make the playoffs this year. They're only 3.5 out right now.
That's right. Hey,
okay.
They got a top 3 pitching staff. Okay. And look, they've had a couple of hiccups with their bullpen, but I'm telling you, man, they got some 3 dogs in Santillan, Ashcraft, and Pagan.
All right, Jorge, you go next. I want to make that.
They got a top 20 winning record. Yeah. What else are we going to say? Top what? They're top 20 in attendance. Okay. Listen, American League, I'm just going to go Yankees, Tigers. I think they're playing the best baseball right now. But when we talk about the West, I'm telling you right now, mark it down. The Angels are going to win the West.
Wow.
What?
The Angels. Yeah. Ron Washington has got those guys playing. Trout is back. I think the team as a whole is going to put one together while the rest of the other losers in the West beat each other up. So that's who's going to come out on top, the Angels out of the West. For wild card, I got the Mariners, the Astros. I mean, I don't know. They're consistent, if nothing else. And again, the West is the West. They'll get some good wins or easy wins out of there. And then also the Twins are coming out of the Central. So I think the Twins, they're just like the Steelers. They're going to make the playoffs, and they're just going to bow out like always, but they'll make it. On the National League, I of course got the Dodgers because whatever. I got the Mets because they're the best team in baseball. And the Cubs are playing extremely well. I'm surprised about how well they're playing, and I don't think they're going to stop playing well this year. So they're going to pull out that division. For wild card, I got the Phillies, I got the Padres, and I am still staying out in the West. I got the Giants coming out into this postseason party this year.
Hold on, before you go, Adam, Angels are 41-1 to win the West. You need to put some money on that.
Yep, let's do it. You'll thank me later. Do it.
All right. So I might try to shake it up a little bit to make it a little bit interesting.
Oh, the Reds are going to win the division? What?
World Series champion.
So Yankees, Tigers, Rangers, right? I don't mean to be basic, but Yankees, Tigers, Rangers. In the wild card, okay, I've got those skank Astros. I got the Red
lost
Sox.
All of our Astros fans.
Listen,
listening.
I got the Red Sox. Hear me out. I think the Red Sox are going to come back. And here's in here. Okay, this is going to make it fun. The Orioles.
What?
Yeah,
they back
I think
right
the
now.
Orioles come back, hit it strong. Here it's post Memorial Day. I think it's going to complete 180. Okay, the National League. I've got the Braves. I've got the Braves. I've got the Dodgers. Of course, I got the Reds. They're going to win the Central. In the wild card, I got the Mets. I got the Phillies. I got the Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks. Wow.
Diamond.
So no Padres. And you really think the Braves are going to win the division?
I got to make it. I got to make it. I got to make it interesting for us, guys. I think so. Yeah.
I mean, impossible is not interesting.
We're not.
No. Just write that down.
Write that
We're almost
down.
10 games out right now. And you talking about the Phillies and the Mets. They're going to overtake the Phillies and the Mets.
Or I could just be like on a certain website that we could reference and just be like basic fake news. So no, making it fun.
Okay, that's an even. I think that's wilder than the Angels winning the division.
Yeah,
to say the Braves. So
the Orioles are 10 out of the wild card.
I realize that.
I forgot you said Orioles. Holy crap! But at least you got them in the wild card. But to have the Braves win the division at this point, that would be amazing. So we'll see.
We're only a third of the way through the season. I mean, like, reality.
A lot can happen. Hey, 1995, the Mariners coming back.
That was 30 years ago.
Yeah, it can happen.
All right. I guess we're due for that.
Write it
You know
down.
what they did? That was a lot bigger overcoming in a lot shorter timeline. So they did it.
Who's surprised about the Tigers playing this well?
Oh,
That is
what
right.
about Javi? Look, so we're just. I want to bring this up because like there has to be at least one point where we talk about Javi Baez and what a great person he is. So, can you tell us anything about Javi and his wife and his family?
Let me tell you this first. I don't have a ball signed by Javi. I got a bunch of Puerto Ricans that sign baseballs, including this past weekend. But no Javi anywhere. That dude is, as Parker Meadows said one time about Javi Baez. Javi is a busy guy. So let's just put it there. No, but this last week I was watching a Rays and Blue Jays game. Jose Berrios was playing, and I had his kids sit with us because our seats over here at the Rays and in Steinbrenner Field are next to the dugout. So that was probably a good thing and a bad thing. So of course the kids have fun because their dad was pitching Saturday night, and I was with the kids. So all the players are talking to them. There's a lot of really cool experiences with all the players coming and being nice, talking to us and all that. But they were bugging the hell out of their dad every time he comes into the dugout, one of these kids like, hey, dad, you want some Reese's Pieces? Or do you want some Coke? Hey, dad, give me a bowl. Hey, dad, give me a water. So it was a nightmare. But we got to talking a little bit about their uncle, Javi Baez. And he was like, my uncle's doing really good this year. He's playing center field, and he might make the All-Star team. and he got that walk-off home run. I was like, man, yeah, that's great. I was like, I still don't like your uncle. Like, he can go kick rocks, man.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I will tell you that I was the one that was like, over the last couple of years, I'm like, man, I was like, I don't know what happened to that dude, because he was good. He was really good when he was with the Cubs. And but he's cleared. What'd you say was his back, his shoulder? What was it?
Well, he had hip surgery over the offseason, so
I think this is going to be a blast from the past. So Javi Baez, I was thinking about this, is kind of a gimmicky player, right? I mean, he didn't have a lot of sustained success. You know who else was like this? Tim Lincecum. Remember him? I mean, 2 Cy Youngs, I believe, 2 Cy Youngs. And it was kind of a brief flash in the pan, and he just never rebounded. I don't think I was looking at Javi Baez's walk rate. It's lower. It's at 3%, which is lower than his career at 4.6%. So I do not think this version of Javi Baez is sustainable. I think a lot of his value though is in defense, like it was when he played short. So I think when people might think of what he's the whole of his entire season, right? Like to date, I think more of his value may be found in his defense and maybe these flash in the pan walk-off home runs. So I think there's going to be a big time regression to the mean for Javi Baez from this remaining of the season. And I think he might end up a below average hitter when it's all said and done, but an above average player because of the defense he brings in center field.
Yeah, what's funny to me is I played softball with Jorge over the years, and he played more like Javi Baez than any other player. Agree?
Yeah, we know what that means. Like a ball's hit to me is either going to be spectacular or just a hot mess. It's one or the other. Nothing in between. Nothing routine.
I've seen him turn multiple triple plays. So, all right. So let's
and giving up hits into triples. So yeah. I haven't looked at this that much, but Adam, you were talking about that major league extra innings rule.
Yes. So I wrote down. So recently the Reds lost an extra innings game, and I've got some notes I wanted to tell you guys about. Right. So let me pull it up here. So it really bothered me how the whole game's set up. Hold on, let me pull it up. Sorry, I had it here. So after before the 2020 season, Major League Baseball instituted a rule to help for 2 things. One, to help speed up the game, which extra innings is a drag, I admit. And 2, to save on pitchers, right? And the quality of the game. Because a lot of times in these extra inning games, we see players like coming in, position players coming in. So I started looking it up, and I found some interesting notes. 49.3, so less than 0.5% of the time, the home team lost compared. So 49.3% of the time, since this new rule has been instituted, the home team is losing, compared to 52.5% of the time they won before they did this, right? So a lot of the times is, so for those that don't know, when the extra innings happen, they have a ghost runner, physical runner, starts on second base, and it's the guy that made the last out from that prior inning. So, your pitcher's coming in, your whole team's coming in at a complete disadvantage. The more organics or the traditional sense of baseball kind of gets implemented because you can bunt them over to third, and we all know how much that changes the tilt of the game once that runner's on third base, right? You have 2 chances. I mean, you have a chance, sacrifice fly. You also have another chance, however way, to get that runner in. So, to me, I also wrote down a couple of other things. Hold on, let me pull this up here. I told you guys they're losing. Oh, hold on. Sorry, guys. I had this up. The ghost runner rule was meant to speed up the extra innings, like I said, but it's actually killing the home team. The Ghost Runner puts the home teams in high pressure spots, more emphasis on bringing in a quality relief pitcher. So a lot of the times, the way the game's instituted now is that your best pitcher, your best relief pitcher is coming in on that bridge inning from the 6th, 7th, and 8th, right? Not necessarily your closer, because it's 5 and done. These starting pitchers aren't going through the lineup 3 different times, the majority of them, which kind of leads me to what I was talking about, Scooble, which we might talk on later on. So here's my take on it. It's a double-edged sword. It does cut the game down. It's good for the pitchers, but it tilts the game against the home team by forcing them in clutch situations. And I'm torn on it because this is what I think. This is my take. It speeds up the game, but the data, as I stated, shows that the home teams are at an extreme disadvantage because they're playing from behind on these games. And then, but my suggestion to fix this is we do this Ghost Runner stupid ass rule that Major League Baseball wants to do, because fans today have a 15-minute window in which they can concentrate, and everybody has ADD for some fucking reason.
As we do a 45 minute podcast.
I say we satiate these people that can't watch a baseball game. The 10th and 11th is for their precious Ghost Runner. And then from that point forward, it goes back to their traditional game, as it always should be. And then we play it out. It's not my problem, nor should it be baseball's problem, that people can't sit still for longer than 5 minutes. What do you guys think?
You go, David, because I got a lot to say.
So I've never really thought about the extra inning disadvantage for the home team. Makes sense. It seems like you'd be better off knowing how many runs you had to score before, going to bat to end the game. I think I love the fact that there's less than 3-hour baseball games. I think I love the fact that there's no 20-inning playoff game, because I'm going to stay up and watch the playoff games, but who wants to watch that? So, okay.
Well, why don't we just bring in aluminum bats after it hits the 12th inning? You get to have aluminum bats.
Now
then we get a rover position. Bring in the rover.
You have to throw with your opposite arm.
Yeah,
I mean, we can do like the Bananas have the showdown or whatever, and it's like pitcher and batter, no fielder.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I get it, but Wayne, cry me a river, and your numbers. I don't know what you're doing this Chinese math for. When you said 49% time they lose before, and now they win 51%. So that's
before. So they're winning. I probably stated that wrong. They're winning at 49%. So less than half the time that home team is winning. Prior to this rule, 52% of the time the home team was winning.
So 3%. Maybe the managers need to do a better job at managing to bridge that gap. It's not a huge gap in my opinion. But what happens is, you have to plan for this. Now, if your closer blows a save and you go into extra innings, so be it. That's your own damn fault. I'm not going to worry about your quality pitchers in the bullpen left. Like, maybe save the game and not have to worry about it. But if you're in the 6th, 7th inning and you're tied, your manager is managing for that, right? Like, maybe we're going to go into extra innings. We got to figure out how we're going to accomplish a good rotation past the 10th inning. So it is what it is. Like, everybody has the same strategy, can have the same strategy. If the first team bunts over and scores on a sac fly, well, you know what you need to do on the bottom half: bunt over and score on a sac fly. If you can't do it, then you should lose the game, right?
You don't think that the dynamic changes when you have to take that strategy as opposed to?
I'm sure it changes, but it's equally fair for both teams, so they could both adapt and figure a way, because it doesn't change for just one team. So
hold on, we're going to come back to this another day.
Let me tell you one thing though, because hold on before we leave, because you talked about Scooble and I get it, but I forgot to mention this, and I don't know if you knew this. I think one of the reasons why the Tigers offense is what it is today, the Tigers invested it's like $600,000 or so into this machine in their facility here in Lakeland, that you can select whatever pitcher you want from the league, and the machine will simulate that pitcher And so they've been hitting and practicing hitting out off of every pitcher in the league.
Wow.
Like down to their pitches, their velocity, their arm angle, their exit, all that. And so one of my guys, he's a scout for the Tigers, told me he was hitting the machine against Screwball. And he's like, we're having trouble trying to get this. So the whole league is doing it, but the Tigers are practicing with this machine against every other pitcher out there. And I think with that repetition, they get out there and they're able to hit the bat, hit those pitchers now. So
is that league wide that they have those machines, or is that?
I don't think so. I know the Tigers have it, and they're talking a lot about it, and raving about it. I don't think everybody has it. I'm sure somebody else will have it, or might have it, or will down the road. But right now, I think the Tigers might be one of the few, if the only one that has it. So
I know there's a lot of teams are doing the VR. The NFL's doing that too, where they're like JJ McCarthy did the VR. So while he was behind on reps last year, they said that he got ahead of the game just from a cerebral standpoint on processes and stuff, and checkdowns and stuff.
Adam, cover Screwball. We're gonna hold off on Ohtani because Ohtani's fantastic.
No. I'd rather
talk. You talk about Screwball because a casual fan doesn't necessarily know what you're talking about. So go hit it real quick.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say what he's doing right now. I go back to the 5 and out type deal, right? So historically, your starting pitchers, your aces, you want them to go 200 plus innings, right? But now, even your best pitchers, a lot of times they're going to that 160 to 175, 185 range. What Scooble's doing is he's averaging 6 1/3 an inning. I mean, a game. But I just want to touch on his strikeout to walk ratio, right? How impressive that is. And then most importantly, what he did on this last complete game where he touched 102 on the 94th pitch. Here's my take on it, right? Like what he's doing is unparalleled. He's almost like a modern day Justin Verlander is what I think of when I watch him from the left side. But with his history of injuries and how the game has changed to high spin rate, high velocity, I'm going to open it up. Do you guys think it is what value do you have in a guy like Scooble, what he's doing now, right, compared to the rest of the league, how utterly dominant he is? Because he is the best pitcher in baseball right now. He was the best pitcher last year.
What about Skeens?
No, Skeens is not. He doesn't have a big enough window, big enough size. What I'm talking about.
You're talking about this year, though. I mean, I know Skeens got a losing record.
Scooble's better than him this year.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think the risk reward is worth it? Would you run him out there, or would you manage a guy like him to that 5 to 6 innings or 5 innings type deal, not hitting 100 pitches, or you just let him cook like he has been these last year and a half? So you've got a guy that is, like I said, a Verlander, a true ace that will shut down a team that is efficient.
Ohtani just hit a bomb in the background. Heck yeah. Sorry.
No. So what's more important? Risk reward.
I'm old school. I'm gonna throw you out there as much as I can and figure it out. I'm not planning on 6 years down the road with you. Right now is a different time with these pitchers, right? You don't have the Nolan Ryans anymore. Listen, one. I know Screwball is great, but one record that will never be broken in baseball is 7 Cy Youngs. Roger Clemens threw 7 Cy Youngs. He pitched for like 72 seasons, whatever. That's not going to happen again. So while you can, I'm going to pitch Screwball as much as I can while he's in town, because you never know. His contract might be over and he's going to go somewhere else. So, or injuries will hit. So it is what it is. I don't think that, an extra inning and cutting him down to save him for later is going to be that big of a deal. I mean, you said it, 102, 103 on his 94th pitch. So he's a horse. So then let's work him and let's let him do what he wants to do and what he can do. I'm not going to save him. I'm not going to save anybody.
Let me just tell you, though, I don't want to get too geeky with the analytics, but Stuff Plus, you can read about it. Only 2% is 132, right? So that means he's 32% better than all starters. Listen to this. his 2025 pace, over 200 strikeouts, less than 25 walks, a sub 2.5 ERA, over 200 innings. The last person that I found that did that, Max Scherzer, 2013 to 2015. So 10 years, right? We haven't seen this type of performance for 10 years. So Hooks, you're a guy that knows all about pitching injuries. What do you do here? Do you let this guy go, or do you manage him back to expectations? Because look, they don't have the salary that the Mets do or the Dodgers do. So they've got to take a completely different management approach across a guy like this. Because the Mets, Dodgers, you guys don't give a shit. You guys will just go out and buy somebody. You guys will have 10 to 15 starters. Figure it out. Because you guys know, like what Jorge said, you're going to run them into the fucking ground because that's what you guys can do. You can afford to do it. But when you're a mid-market team, you can't do that. Just
Actually,
like
I think the Dodgers are more apt to put a pitcher down if they feel any pain at all. So they would never throw a guy 200 innings ever again. They'll never have that
because of what they've seen happen to them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So let's go. Great talk about baseball. I think we could go definitely all day on that. So let's talk about the NFL real quick before we finish this up. So what's the deal with Travis Hunter?
Oh, well, I kind of feel like so you got to decide. It's unsustainable. A guy's not going to play both, right? I don't think it's possible. Maybe it is. This would be interesting, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the most important of the two. It'd be a shutdown corner. I think you can manufacture a wide receivers. I think if you can have a shutdown corner like a Sauce Gardner type, Jalen Ramsey, and that's what he's projected to be, right? A very top tier quarterback, a cornerback. I think that was Andrew Abbott in the background over there, shutting down those worthless Cubs. I think he's got way more value as a cornerback. So, Jorge, if you're the Jags, do you run this guy out there to see what he can do, or do you commit to him being an elite cornerback that can totally change the game for them? Or do you do like a 75-25 thing, right? So you have him out there like a Champ Bailey or a Deion Sanders when they did their deal.
Why did he win the Heisman?
Because of his dual threat, because of what he did as a
okay. So
but
why
that's a totally different game? I don't think
I get it. But you drafted that athlete, right? You drafted him because of the athlete he was, and the tools that he brings here could work, could not work. Why would you just say, I'm going to assume it's not going to work and not do it? No, just let him do it. Worst case is he'll the league will humble him, and he's going to suck at one or the other, and maybe he realizes and the team then realizes they need to focus. But until then, let him do it.
Let him go?
Yeah.
Hooks?
Listen, I'm going to tell you guys, I drafted Travis Hunter in my Dynasty Football League, and you don't get any points for defense. So let's just say I need him to be a wide receiver.
Okay.
And play some DB, but not the other way around. So, no, I think the Jags definitely said that they're going to draft him to be a wide receiver first and put him in some packages as a nickel or in a tight, towards the end of the game situation. Now, Deion, everybody loves Deion, pointed out that the NFL is a lot slower speed of the game versus college football. It did not affect him in college. At no point did he look tired. At no point did he look like he was beat up. And there's less plays in the NFL than there are in college. So I think that I think he could, but like I said, I hope he's a wide receiver first. And it's all because of me. I want him to be a wide receiver first.
Well, I look at it as opportunity basis, right? So if you're a cornerback, you technically have an opportunity to impact the game more snaps than a wide receiver, right? Because they're going to run running plays.
Absolutely not.
You don't think so?
Justin Jefferson. Maybe Jamar Chase. Maybe he is that guy. Man, whatever.
Well, still, the scheme's being ran with you're running the ball though too, right? So while he's on the field and he's taking snaps, there are running plays, right? So I just look at it as how I can have this guy who is an ultra athlete, and how can I have him impact the game on a more on a case by case basis, right? And I find a guy like him would be at cornerback, because like Hooks. I mean, like Jorge said, it does make sense. You got a guy, run him out there. Let's see what he can do. I just don't want to mess with it. Opportunity for injury, and then also the whole mind game of it. I don't want to set him back. I want him coming out knowing that he's a boss, and I think he does that at cornerback.
Hey,
Does he make Trevor Lawrence better?
Hey, if they've got him and Thomas out there, Lawrence's life is going to be different. I think. I mean,
I don't know if I'm really sold on Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it's at this point you either are or you're not, right? He's been in the league long enough, so I'm not a big Trevor guy. So I don't know if you do bring him in, if he does change it that much for him. That's a great question.
Hey, do you guys want to touch on the NFL games being overseas on this podcast, Jorge, or do you want to do it on another one?
No, this is fine. Why? I mean, like, what are they just trying to create more, like, a bigger audience for the NFL? Is it all about money too? I mean, it seems like everything's about money with these leagues anyway. It's not great for the players. I mean, I know it'll be a cool trip, but it's not efficient. It's not effective. It doesn't help your game. I don't like it personally, but
not either.
I certainly don't want to go to Ireland to watch the Steelers.
And I also don't like waking up at 8 a.m., 7 a.m.
I'll get a grab
to watch a game.
Y'all keep talking.
Yeah.
Oh no. What's he bringing? I'm scared now.
Yeah.
What is that Chiefs things hanging back there? No. And I don't even know how many games a year they're going to do now overseas. I get it when the NBA was with Yao Ming, the whole China and overseas thing to help the league promote. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Mexico Chiefs. Los Chiefs. Nobody cares about Los Chiefs. That is a nice jacket, though. That's a pretty nice jacket.
Yeah. I like that one.
You ever going to wear it?
Yeah. Do you wear it, Hooks?
Oh, he can't hear us.
Oh.
Got a little old school plugs. But, I mean, I would travel to Mexico. Don't get me wrong. That's easy enough. But I'm not going to London. I'm not going to Ireland. I'm not going to Japan to go watch a football game.
You suggested going watching the Steelers play the Vikings, didn't you?
Well, that was a joke. I know they'll sell out because people over there, and I get it. But as a true fan, that's one less opportunity for me to go watch my team, you know?
Right. Yeah. Think about it from the season ticket holder.
Yeah.
You get hosed. And the Vikings have back-to-back games overseas this year.
Wow.
Which I don't like it from a fan standpoint, where I've got to wake up in a non-traditional Sunday, and I mean, it's not
back-to-back
world problems. First world problems. I
weeks.
get it. I'm just telling you, in specific to this situation, it doesn't. I don't like the overseas games at all. At all.
How do you think a player feels?
I cannot imagine any player
Right.
would they're not going to openly say it sucks, but I think if you were to get them one-on-one, they hate it. Because it's all about it's all about routine, and for anybody and anything, even if you're just a regular dude like me, it's everybody needs a routine, and talk about really messing up your routine.
And people don't think of how many people are affected. You know who else hates these games? Their CPAs.
Oh yeah,
I had a player play overseas last year, and it's a pain in the ass dealing with that income.
Yeah,
Nice.
Wow, that is a component I never even thought about. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It impacts everybody. So but especially the NFL, it impacts. I mean, think about the viewership. Well, I'd like to know. That'd be a good question. How much of the viewership is down from a television rating?
Right.
With those 8 games.
It's not even about being down, because you can only watch one game at a time. No one was going to watch the Vikings play the Steelers, or the people that were going to watch it are still going to watch it
Well, the red zone though, right? If you're
Yeah,
watching NFL Red Zone, you're who's going to turn into, you've got a lot going on. You got church, you got family at 8 a.m. That's what time most of the games kick off, right? 7 a.m.
No,
8
but that does make a little bit of sense what you said, David. Because yeah, if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm gonna watch it anyway, whether they're at that time or another time, right? I mean, although maybe I'm not. But if I'm a fan of another team,
you're definitely waking up to watch that game. Don't lie.
Oh, well, yeah, you are. But
if I'm a fan of another team, there's a chance that I might watch this game because they're not playing at the same time as my team.
Absolutely.
So that makes a little bit of sense.
Fantasy
but on
football?
Sundays, it's on Sundays. It's different.
It's
People have
terrible
got
for
things
fantasy
to do.
football.
It's most people aren't sitting around Sunday not doing anything.
Yeah. Well,
So obviously, I showed you guys my Mexico jacket that my good buddy Emmanuel Ogbar gave me. He gave it to all the players. Gave them jackets when they played in Mexico back in 2019. So I think they enjoy it. Like talking to them. I mean, it's like, hey, it's playing somewhere different, getting to see something. Some of these countries are pretty dangerous that they're going to. So like, I don't know. What's the one where they couldn't go anywhere and they couldn't wear green because the gangs and stuff? Was that Brazil?
I remember that. So Ogba gave you a jacket. Did he give you a couch too?
That was different.
Oh, okay, different player.
So,
since we're trying to show off our stuff. Listen, buddy.
Oh, that's nice.
SGA.
Yep.
I got my new flag. Got my new flag.
I got that a few days before he was named MVP, but the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got left here?
So
I think we hit on most of it, right?
Yep. We got a couple things to cover next week. So same times, same bat channel next week.
Good deal. Well, yeah, absolutely. So to you listeners, you can always find us in your favorite podcast app. We're going to be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and then we'll get our YouTube videos up on our YouTube channel, First and Inches Podcast. So find us where you can subscribe. And until next week, we will talk to you guys later.
Thanks.